My name is Deepak Malhotra, and I'm a professor of negotiation at Harvard Business School. I'm also the author of Negotiating the Impossible and co-author of Negotiation Genius. This is part of a series of videos in which I talk about one key topic, an insight, a principle, a tactic of negotiation that I hope will help you as you navigate your own deals and disputes. In this video, what I want to talk about is the problem of negotiating after a series of failures. When you go in to negotiate a deal where others before you have failed. Now, I do work with a lot of businesses, but I also do work with governments that are negotiating really difficult, for example, armed conflicts or other disputes. And in these kinds of negotiations, it's very common to walk into a situation that has been going on for a very long time. There's a lot of mistrust, there's a lot of hostility, there's a lot of antagonism, and there is a long history of failure of negotiation. So how do you approach a situation like that? Well, in my experience, too often what people do when they walk into a negotiation where previous attempts have failed is they walk in thinking that they're going to take a different approach. They're going to go to the negotiation table and say things differently and do things differently and make different kinds of moves and use different tactics at the negotiation table and hopefully achieve a better outcome. That's not usually the margin on which success and failure is decided, especially in very protracted negotiations or very protracted disputes. Rather, what I always advise people to do is to step back and first ask yourself the question, why would success be possible today when other people before me who might have been reasonably smart, reasonably competent, reasonably well-intentioned, have failed? What's really different about the situation today? Or what can be made to be different about the situation today? The key thing that I want people to recognize is that what you do once you get to the table is not usually what's going to determine success or failure in these difficult situations. Rather, it's more likely that one of four things will have to change for a previously unsuccessful negotiation to transition towards a successful negotiation. So what are those four things you need to be thinking about? First, have the conditions changed, or can they be made to be changed? Perhaps previously the other side had a lot of alternatives. Has that changed? Perhaps previously the other side had a lot of spoilers that they were dealing with who didn't want a deal to happen. Has that changed? Are you bringing something new to the table that you didn't have the ability to bring to the table before? What about the conditions have changed? What's new today that wasn't true before? So that's the conditions. The second is, has the scope changed, or can it be changed? By the scope of the negotiation, we mean what are the things that are going to be within the bounds of negotiation. It's possible that the last time the negotiation took place, there were too few issues or too few interests that were being considered. And instead, what you're going to do this time is broaden the scope so that there's more possibility of give and take. Or it might be the opposite. Maybe too many things were on the table last time, and the reason you think you're going to succeed this time is because you've narrowed the scope to things that are more manageable and more tractable. So the conditions could change or the scope could change. The third thing that could have changed or that you might be able to change is the process. Are we sequencing things in the same way we've always sequenced them? Are we giving ourselves just as much time as we did last time, or are we giving ourselves more time? Are we bringing in different parties into the room? Because perhaps the problem last time was that the wrong people were in the room. Has the process been adjusted to overcome the failures of the past? So you have conditions, you have scope, you have process, and the final thing to consider is the frame of the negotiation. The frame of the negotiation essentially refers to the psychological lens through which people are looking at the deal or dispute. Are they seeing us as desperate the way they did last time, or do they see us as having a little bit more strength or credibility or leverage? Do they think that we are antagonistic the way they did think last time, or have we changed those perceptions? If the frame of the negotiation changes, just like if the process changes, the scope changes, or the conditions change, all of a sudden, what was a no-deal situation can suddenly become a yes-deal situation. Of course, it matters what you do once you get to the table. Of course, it matters what you say and how you say it and the tactics that you use. But too often, people overweight that element of negotiation and fail to consider these other levers. The conditions that we're walking into, the scope of the negotiation, the process, and the frame. When you think about all of these dimensions of negotiation, it's much more likely that you will succeed where others have failed. Good luck.